reconnected to our guest that is hopefully going to be in time to speak to us about the traditions around the burial of Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa, at the same time awaiting the arrival of his mortal remains from Paris. It's been en route from Paris and it should be touching down in about 9 minutes from now. That's the estimated time. Just to tell you a little bit more about Ambassador Mthethwa, born Nathi Emmanuel Mthethwa on the 23rd of January in 1967 in Kwa-Mbonambi. That, of course, is where he is going to be laid to rest as well. That's when his body arrives in Johannesburg. It will then be transported to northern KwaZulu-Natal. This Kwa-Mbonambi is on the outskirts of Kwa-Mbonambi. He started his political activism when he joined KwaVota Youth Organization. It was the age of 15 years old, and then he rose in the role of chairperson of the KwaVota Youth Organization from 1987 until 1989. He held various various positions within the cabinet, and you know, this we've covered quite extensively, where he joined Parliament in 2002, filling an ANC vacant seat in the National Assembly. He was then elected to a full term in April 2024's general election. During his tenure, he served as the chairpersons of the Minerals and Energy Portfolio Committee from 2004 to 2008, as chief whip of the ANC in 2008. So there were many portfolios, including that of arts and culture, as well as the police ministry as well. So those are some of those that we got under his belt. But you can see here, these are just some of the traditions and the blessings that took place before his mortal remains got loaded onto that flight from Paris. We've got our guest now, Prof. I think we've managed to get you on a phone line, so at least we'll be able to speak to you. So thank you so much, Professor VVO Mkhize, President and founder of Umsamo Institute. Thanks so much for joining us today. Let's quickly jump straight into it. So obviously, there's so much that happens according to traditions that the ambassador is going to be buried to. But let's perhaps start in Paris already, because it's not going to just start as soon as the remains arrive here in the country. What has already happened with the family being present in France?
Tingiswayo, Nyambose, Makanga, Onzibanziba, Nina Bagwayengwayo. Good morning to all the South Africans as well as in the studio. Thank you so much. First of all, we as African people, we have got our own Isintu, which is, I call Isintuism, which differs from Usiko and also Umkuba. What I'm trying to say here is that there are normal ways of doing things, we as Black people, but each and every family then does or do its own things as a family, which is linked anyway to the Isigo. As we know that our brother Nathi Mthethwa died in Paris, so it's not only the body that must be carried or brought back home, but his own spirit, because the body consists of the flesh and the spirits, and you are governed by your ancestors, your own grandfathers, and so on and so on. So from Paris, we as African peoples, particularly the Zulu-speaking people, we normally use what we call a branch of a buffalo thorn tree. In Zulu, we call it umpafa or umlahlangosi. Now, I think, according to Isintu, they have done, okay, normally the family should have sent, or maybe they have sent two people. Yeah. Why two people? To fetch his spirit. The first one is because when he carries that branch, he won't speak anymore. Then the other one will be assisting the one who's carrying the branch in terms of when he wants something, or when someone wants to talk to them, and so on. So there must be two people. And then these two people, before they leave Kwa-Mbonambi, where Nathi Mthethwa grew up and where it was his homestead, they'll have to report and say, Baba Mkhulu, Sbanbani, calling them by names. We are now leaving the country to go and fetch your son or your grandson in Paris, who was sent there to do 1, 2, 3, 4, politically or whatever the case. When they get there, so they have to start, first of all, at the hotel with this branch. It is this second person who will be speaking to his spirit and say, Foetu or uncle or whoever, now we are leaving, we are going home. From now, the hotel, they will have to go to the house where he was actually staying and also repeat the very same words. And then it's only then where they will start coming back home. Either now they come together carry with the coffin and also with this branch, or maybe the coffin, but I assume that the coffin must go along together with this branch, which will be carried.
Amazing. It's beautiful symbolism that you're explaining to us, Prof. So this is now what we obviously are expecting is, as you assume, the branch, but definitely the mortal remains of the late ambassador on this flight that should be touching down in about 4 minutes from now. Once it lands back in South Africa, well, in Johannesburg, because we do know then it's going to be transported back to his birthplace. Is there anything that happens on its arrival back home in his birth country?
Definitely, yes, because he will only be arriving in the country. So when they land, the very same person, where no one is speaking to him, he only speaks to this branch, he will now say, so and so, I'm sure you heard me starting by praising him and so on, halfway. He will start praising him and say, when I go yengweni and so on. We have landed in our country. Now we are going to take a flight to to King Shaka, if ever they're going to fly down again, or we're going to drive in a car. Now we are going home. Now, whenever they cross the river, he will say, now we are crossing the river, now we are doing this, so that his spirit doesn't remain behind until they get home. When they get home, outside, now that's where now the difference between Isigo and Usigo will start different. Now, according to Isigo, they will have now, first of all, the way he died, because of the way he died, they will have to get an animal. Others get a black sheep to cleanse his body, others get a goat. And thereafter, once that goat has been done cleansing his body, now they will actually slaughter another one, either a sheep or a goat, which will now be saying, we are purifying you. And then they will start getting inside the homesteads, and then they will go to that particular hut or room where they're going to put his body together with this buffalo, what you call thorn tree. Now, both of those two animals, when they get buried outside the premises, nobody eats that meat and so on. So that's what will actually happen if they are going to continue with Isintu, but with an addition, with the spice of the Mthethwas. How were they doing things, they themselves? As I will explain also later on, why is he buried on Sunday, not on a Saturday?
That is unfortunately the final question that I'm going to ask you, because we're running into terrible time constraints. So explain to us the significance of the Sunday, because I know that from the very get-go, that has what's been said in terms of Shembe traditions and the family, that a Sunday is when it needs to happen. Why?
Yes, even though I'm not sure what was their own religion, but I think, you see, the Shembe religion, it's very popular at Kwa-Mbonambi.
Yeah.
And when I followed the Mthethwa family, they are the people who have been following this tradition as their own usiko or umkuba of actually burying people on a Sunday. Now, the Nazareth people, the Shembe church, doesn't bury people on a Saturday. Normally use Sunday, because you see Saturday is their holiday where they're actually doing things for the church and so on. So one, it might happen that because of the area Kwa-Mbonambi and because of how his ancestors used to do things or how they used to bury people, they are following on that, which is now their own umkuba. And then finally, it might happen that maybe it is the religion of the family, or it might not be the religion of the family, but that let's follow what used to be done by our ancestors, which is now particularly, I call it umkuba of the family rather than isigo of the family.
Professor, I'm loving your just telling us about these cultures, and I know that throughout the weekend this is what we're going to be doing here on SABC News, because this is just the start, certainly, as we await that arrival of his remains into the country. But as you say, that branch carrying his spirit, the body, and everything else is a very, very important tradition that is here. And what we are getting, Professor, and to our viewers, is news that the plane has just landed in South Africa. Professor, I'm going to let you go. Professor VVO Mkhize, President and founder of the Umsamo Institute, talking to us about the ceremony and the culture associated with it.
Indeed, always, an opportunity to learn along with the somber moment that it presents. And yes, that flight has landed. Kailekle Khumalo is there at the OR Tambo International Airport, and of course we'll bring up as much of those visuals as we can.